believes that what we put in place in Massachusetts was a penalty, and he disagrees with the court's ruling that the mandate was a tax. But again,
so he agrees with the president, but he agrees with the president that it is not, and he believes that you shouldn't call the tax penalty a tax. You should call it a penalty or a fee or a fine.
That's correct.
Yes, it is confusing, no matter how you slice it. That's Mitt Romney's senior advisor, Eric Fernstrom, from this morning, disagreeing with the Supreme Court of the United States that the individual mandate in the Obama health care plan is a tax, saying rather it is a penalty. Let's bring in our panel, Jeff Zeleny. So there is a question, is it a tax? Is it a penalty? You can have your view on that. But Charles, let's start with you. You don't even think that the Romney campaign should be talking about that.
Look, I think this attempt, as you just heard, to be consistent and logical on the issue is a mistake. Even Chief Justice Roberts, in his opinion, is totally twisted in trying to decide if it's a tax or a penalty. In fact, at one point in the decision, he says that for the purposes of the Constitution, it's a tax, but for the purposes of the Anti-Injunction Act, an arcane reason why the suit would be invalid in the first place, it is not a tax, it's a penalty. So even he didn't have it straight. So don't worry about getting into a twist over this. And forget about consistency. Use whichever end of the argument you need at the time. That's exactly what Democrats are doing. What Romney ought to say is, okay, it's a tax, and it's like many of the other taxes heaped on you by Obamacare. The augmentation of the capital gains tax, the tax on medical devices, so every time you need a stent, you're actually indirectly paying a tax on this. And say this is just one of many things that you have to do to sustain a system, a law, that the CBO has said will cost $1.76 trillion. The money is not coming out of heaven like manna. You're going to have to tax people for that. This is one of the many taxes. Stick with that, run with that, and then use other arguments in other places. But trying to square a circle that even Roberts isn't able to, I think, is a mistake.
Yeah, you know, Fern